as you can see, we got the two ends of the bench now. They're both flat, and they're both flat this way, so they sit on the floor. Now our next project is to lay out where the seat and the back of the seat is going to go. We still have the center line drawn on here. We don't have it on the end anymore because that was ground off. Sometimes it's worth putting that back on, but in this particular case it isn't. We're going to work off the center line in the center of the log here and lay that out now. To lay both of them out together. This way you can see if you have any discrepancy between the two sides. So I've now measured up from the bottom 16 3/4. And now I put my level line across. Like so. I take my square and I put a 5-degree angle on it. This will vary depending on the width of your end logs as to how high the front comes, but at the end of the day, when I measure on the front over here with that angle, it should be, this was 16 1/4, and so it should be at about 17 inches here. And our front is almost at 17 inches. So that's perfect. Next we draw our line underneath for the plank that's going to go in there, the seat, which is 1.5 inches, and then we'll draw the back in as well. So we put our marks at 1.5 inches and we'll draw a line across underneath that. Next we need to do the back, and we know that we want to have about 14 inches. So next we're going to measure back, and we need about 1.5 inches for our board at the back. So I'm going to draw my line. I'll put 1.5 inches in here. As you can see, doing the layout side by side, you can look visually across and just make sure that both are the same. So long as it's measured off the center line, everything should work out identically. So at this point we're at the place where we need to cut our slots in, and there's two ways we can do that. The first one is we could, if we're in the bush, use a chainsaw, and we can cut rather a nice little slot to put these in, probably about 1 inch deep. It could be a little bit deeper, but that would be one way. And the other way, if we're closer to power, we can always use a router. So just like before, I take my knife and I score the line. So we've scored the lines, and we're going to start out by cutting our first slot through here. So as you can see, I've cut the slot and I chiseled out the end here. So as you can see, we've got the two sides now, and they both match up. And at the back, now we just need to sand these surfaces just to clean them up a little bit. It's not necessary, but it just makes a nicer job. So we're going to sand that up next, and then we'll put the seat and the back in, and it should be ready to go. Well, as you can see, we've got the bench back together, and now we've got a couple of little details to finish it up. One is to round the corners at the front of the bench, and the other one is to put some screws in the back. the way it was put together. I just took the two 2x12s and used a sledgehammer and pounded them in, and as you can see, it went together quite nicely. This is one of the corners that we did with the chainsaw. I've drawn a circle on the corner, and I've also taken my knife and I've cut the circle so I shouldn't have any breakout. So I've laid out 3 marks on the back of the seat, and I'm going to drill in through the seat, back and into the end logs. And I'm going to do the same on the both ends and also on the seat at the bottom. And if you want to plug them and dowel them, you could do that too. So that concludes our rustic log bench for the garden or for the cabin. Until next time, from BC Logs Derrick and Rail and myself, David Edgley, enjoy making one.
She sits alone